This episode is for anyone who has ever shown up to work at their full-time job, given everything that they have, and still had the rug pulled out from under their feet. That happened to me this week, and your girl has some thoughts. Hello, my beautiful entrepreneurs. My name is Tabitha, and welcome to A Hot Mess Builds an Empire. I help day one entrepreneurs take that first terrifying leap into business ownership without completely losing their minds in the process. This channel is for the people who are standing on the edge of something really scary, but also equally just as marvelous, wondering if they are absolutely unhinged for even considering the jump. Okay, before we get into the juice, because there's juice today, you guys. There is, ladies and gents, and the non-binaries, there is juice to be had in this episode today. But before we get started on that, in 5 days, just 5 days, on April 25th, this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is my first ever live event, the Mess Hall. It's happening this Saturday. If you haven't signed up yet, please join us using the link in the YouTube description. It takes you to my stand store. You'll see the link for the Mess Hall, and there's different dates that you can join on a session. The next 3 months are going to be on Saturdays, and then I am switching it to Sundays just because of my work schedule, but I wanted to stick to what I committed to in terms of the Saturday dates. So please join us. It's just $5, and we're going to do monthly themes, workshops. I have guest speakers lined up now. So I'm very excited that later in the year, there'll be entrepreneurs gracing us with their presence and their fantastic golden nuggets of information. So I would love so much to see you there and get to talk to you guys like in person, real life, instead of just me talking to the little green dot letting me know that my camera is on. And we actually get to interact real time, and it'll be great. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you all this Saturday. So please join us. And yeah. Okay, so today I want to talk about certainty because if I am going to preface this by saying there are certain things I can't say in this episode just in case. But I am going to be honest about some things in this episode, and we'll just go from there and see what happens with this video. But I want to talk about certainty and what that actually means, because there are some things that happened to me last week at work that were just not very cool. There has been a trend of things happening over the last couple months with my job, but it was one of those things where I was on a leave. I was dealing with emergency surgeries and different procedures and trying to get healthy and heal. So I got some emails about stuff, and as annoying as they were, like, what can I do? I wasn't at work, you know what I mean? So, but now that I'm back at work, it impacts me a lot more. But what I have learned this week is that I am so right to say that it is the best thing you could possibly do is to bet on yourself with your business. I'm not talking about other businesses that you may work for right now. I'm talking about you and your business. That is the best bet that you could possibly place, is to be betting on you, betting on your business, showing up for you, showing up for your business as much as you possibly can. So you're probably like, Tabitha, just come out with it. What happened? What happened? What happened? So I went back to work last week from my leave. I think, as you guys may know, I said it in a video that I was going back to work, and I had changed Hot Mess Triage to accommodate my schedule, which is now available on Sundays and Tuesdays. So that was effective immediately, that change. And, moving forward, the Mess Hall will be on Sundays starting in, I think, July. It'll be on Sundays. And I rearranged things so that I could still stay committed to my business, but also still incorporate the fact that I am working a full-time job. I started creating a batch schedule for this weekend so that this way I can still post daily to YouTube via batching like crazy on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then scheduling it out for the week so I can still be showing up consistently online, even though, I won't be doing my videos daily from a daily perspective in my studio. They'll be all batch created throughout the day on Monday and Tuesday. But, I put in all this effort to make sure that I am still showing up for my business. And I'm so glad that I am, because Wednesday was my first day back. And it was the usual, like, sort of thing, right? Like, I came back after being gone for 5.5 months. And there were some moments that made me um feel validated as a manager. When I came back, not only were people clapping and cheering when they saw me, like my team, um, there were a line of people to give me a hug, to welcome me back. And there's just something really validating about that, as a manager of people, as a manager of a team of somewhere between, it fluctuates throughout the year depending on the season and stuff like that, but to see a team of like 30 people, and a huge portion of them are standing in line waiting to greet you individually with a hug or a high five or a fist pump or whatever they feel comfortable with, just to say, "Hey, I'm so happy to see you. I missed you so much. You're one of my favorite managers, and I missed you, and I hope you're well, and I prayed for you, and I heard you were recovering from a car accident." And that was amazing. That was so amazing, because it tells me that I did something right as a manager, to have this moment with my team where there were me and a bunch of women in a circle, just kind of like group hugging, and them telling me, "Hey, we've been through it. It's been crazy. We're so happy to have you back. We're so happy to see you. You look amazing. You look, we don't know what happened." Like, some people didn't know what happened. Some people did know what happened. Someone thought I lost a leg, which was which was somebody was like, "I heard you lost a leg." And I was like looking down. I'm like, "No, they're both still there. Thank you. Goodness. Oh my gosh." But like, it was nice to have this human moment with my team, and it just made me feel really good as a manager that I've done something right in the past, that to be gone for 5.5 months and come back to such a greeting from my team, because my lead, who it's like the equivalent of an assistant manager, um, didn't tell anyone that I was coming back. She wanted it to be a surprise, which I really appreciate, because like it was a surprise for me too, how everyone reacted. So I think it was just very touching, and it meant a lot to me, because I care about my team first as people, which I have said before, that I believe in transparency, I believe in advocacy and communicating with them, and it that work showed, right, that they cared back, and I loved it. So that was my first day back. My second day back, I was sitting in my pre-shift meeting. I had just gotten to work, and my cousin texted me an article about my job. And I'm not going to say the company name. You can do whatever assumptions or digging that you want to do, just for a job security standpoint for me, um, as much as it can be. But I found out from my cousin, who sent me an article, that my company filed for bankruptcy this week. Well, last week. And she said, "Is this true?" And I was like, "What is this article?" Um, So to read through that article and find out that my company had filed for bankruptcy via my cousin through a news article was really annoying, because here I was sitting at work ready to start my day, and there were other people who started getting messages from their loved ones, or were reading the news as we were kind of like ramping up the day. And my coworker looked at me and he goes, "Hey, did you just see what happened?" And I was like, "Yep, I did." I was like, "My family just saw what happened. So now my family's worried about me." And I want to I want to talk about the certainty of this because earlier this year, our chief people officer sent an email saying we weren't getting any merit increases to avoid layoffs. And I was like, okay, that's annoying and that's awful, but I was also on a leave and it wasn't something that I could focus on at that time. Um, you know, but you're allowed to be annoyed that in this economy, gas prices are like 4.25 a gallon where I am right now, and I commute an hour to work, and there's all these things, right, that you consider. And, my car that was in the accident was a hybrid. So it really was very helpful on like gas money savings. And now I don't have that car anymore. And not that my husband's car isn't great, but it's not as gas efficient because it's not a hybrid. And there's just all these things that go through your mind when you think of the economy that we're in, and this is what's going on, and this is what's happening, and then you're not focusing, or you're not focusing, you're not allowed to plan for the fact that you would be getting some type of merit increase to help accommodate the fact that the world is just crumbling around us because we are in a global economy. And even if things are okay in terms of the United States with gas, we are in a global economy. So we are impacted as well by the things that the president of the United States is doing. And it gets very political. I know, I'm sorry, but you know, I think it's all interconnected, and I think it's really important to sit here and have this conversation about certainty because you can only be certain with yourself. You can only be certain with yourself in your business and what it is that you're doing consistently to show up for you every single day. Because here I've been working with this company for how many years, and it's uncertain what's happening with an established company. Um so it's just annoying that I found out from my cousin um via a text message of a news article. And it's annoying that it was hours later that the company sent out internal communications, which I'm not going to go over again, just for in case anybody sees this video. Um, but there were internal communications sent out later that night that I'm calling damage control, HR damage control, because it was it was annoying that what they addressed was, you may have seen in the news. Yeah. You couldn't tell your own people, you couldn't tell your own company. Like, what a slap to the face. I pride myself on being transparent with my team. I pride myself on being advocates for my team. I pride myself on giving them the why behind things. And hey, this is going to happen today, and this is why this is happening today. This is going to happen next week, and this is why this is happening next week. So to walk into that blindsided by this information, how do I talk to my team? I'm finding out with them something. I'm supposed to be a manager guiding them through their day, their week, their month, their year with everything that I possibly can, resources and, employee assistant programs, and helping people with mental health situations, and helping people with their personal lives as best as I possibly can with the resources that are available to us via our job, like all these things. And I had nothing. I had nothing. I felt so blindsided in so many different ways that the first thing that came to my mind was, well, it's a good thing I'm committed to me. I know that I'm a certain thing. I know that I've been posting to YouTube and gaining momentum, and I went viral the other day and gained more subscribers across the board, and there are all these things that are happening in the background for my business, and which I am very grateful for. Those of you who are here, truly grateful. I hope you know that. Um because it just goes to show that something is working that I'm doing. Even if my audience is small, there's an audience, and I'm doing something that's working, and I'm continuing to bet on myself by being consistent as much as I possibly can and show up as much as I possibly can. And to know that my immediate response was annoyance, right? but also clarity tells me that there was such growth for me as an entrepreneur and as a person to go, you know what, this is fine, because my business is starting to do very well again. It's starting to ramp up because I pivoted so hard. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. As you guys know, you might be tired of hearing it. I was the full-time travel blogger, travel photographer for a while, but I pivoted really hard after COVID. And I've been on a very different journey since then, where I'm doing my own thing with my multimedia studio, where I'm showing up however it is that I want to show up and talk about whatever it is that I want to talk about, not niching down, not following bad business advice. Whatever it is that I want to do, I'm doing, and I'm betting on myself doing it. And to have that moment where I was sitting there and it felt like, I forget the name of the technique, um, where it's it looks like you're zooming in and zooming out at the same time on, like on a um on a movie, where like they pull the dolly back but they zoom in with the camera at the same time, and it gives this very weird like effect with the bokeh in the background, and it just kind of looks like you're zooming in, but the background is, you know what I mean? Anyway, that's what I felt like when I found out about the bankruptcy, where it was just like, and I was like, this is okay. You know why? Because I'm betting on myself right now. And that meant a lot to me, to have that clarity and not freak out. I'm allowed to be pissed. I'm allowed to be annoyed. I'm allowed to be concerned about, you know, my job and how long I have. And I'm sure I'm fine for right now. For reasons that I can't explain, I know that I'm fine right now, um but I was floored, and that rug was pulled real hard from underneath me. And I think the moment was so crappy because my job didn't have the courtesy to tell me. I found out from my cousin from the news. So there you have it. That's what happened last week. So, of course, everything after that news was a buzz with everybody for the whole week. It was a really rough week for people. Um, the economy is not great. People have been trying to apply to other jobs and, getting rejected or getting ghosted, myself included, because I was trying to find something remote so it would be easier to be home to do this stuff and not have to commute. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4. I spend 8 hours commuting a week. So, um, it just would have been nice to not have that commute and whatever. And yeah, so that's the juice, you guys. That's the juice. And I have a story for you. So, um, those of you who know, I grew up in Pennsylvania, East Coast Pennsylvania, the Lehigh Valley area specifically. So Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, that kind of thing. Think of the Allentown Billy Joel song where he sings about the Bethlehem steel workers. Bethlehem Steel is going to be my example here. Bethlehem Steel is what built the skyscrapers initially in New York City. And Pittsburgh Steel had some stuff to do with it, but Bethlehem Steel, hence the Pittsburgh Steelers, but Bethlehem Steel helped build America. Okay. There is a lot of pride in Bethlehem Steel workers having helped build America. And there is a movie, I forget the name of the movie, but my dad told me a story where they were in uh like a crane scene where there was like scaffolding and like sort of the skeletal structure of a building, and the camera zoomed out and you saw Bethlehem Steel on it, and the theater went nuts because it was full of steel workers, right? There's a pride in having helped build America. There's something about that, locally, that there were these men who stood around molten steel all day long, dealing with steel all day long, and it helped build the country that we have today, in an infrastructure capacity. And Bethlehem Steel was around for quite some time. Local pride, and the saying went, if you have a job at Bethlehem Steel, you have a job for life and you're taken care of in retirement. Um, and the reason for that is because they had a great pension program. And so if you got a job at Bethlehem Steel and then retired, you would have this amazing pension. And there were a lot of things that were happening towards the end of the 90s, beginning of 2000s. Bethlehem Steel like went bankrupt, got sold, and now it's a casino. Um, and I'm not lying, it's a casino. And all these steel workers who were remaining lost their jobs, lost their pensions. There is a man at my job who's security, who's in his 80s, who is working as a security guard because he lost his pension at Bethlehem Steel. And that's what he has to do. He's like, no, I support my wife. And she, she's the most important thing to me. And so my point about that is like, even this company that was helping to build the infrastructure of America, and even places across the globe are set up because of Bethlehem Steel. um it's amazing what certainty means to you when the rug is pulled out from underneath you, um from just, where do your loyalties lie? And your loyalty should lie with you. Your loyalty should lie with you and your family. Um, and it's really truly important to know that you need to bet on yourself. And I hope I'm driving that point home here. The next point I want to make is Jim Carrey, the comedian. He gave a commencement speech some years ago at a college, and I watched it and it was so good. It was so good. You could easily Google it. I forget the name of the school he was at, but um he said something, and I'm paraphrasing this story, but he said something that his father grew up wanting to be a comedian, and um he instead took a safe job as, I believe, an accountant, if I'm remembering correctly. And he was let go from that job. And the thing about Jim Carrey is he does share the story that his family was like very poor, lived out of a car at one point, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and he said something along the lines of, why try to succeed at something that you hate when it would be better to fail at something that you love? Right? Like, why try to give your all for something that is not certain from someone else when you need to bet on you because you are the certainty? And oh, maybe that's the title of this episode. You are the certainty. I like that. Okay. So anyway, but that's the point he was making, is why bet on something that seems safe because, you know, it seems like a safe choice for stability and certainty in the job market when really it's not. It's not. Um so I wanted to give you those examples because I think it's really important that certainty is not your job title or your salary or the name of the company that you're with. And certainty is what you can make sustainable. Excuse me. What you can make sustainable for yourself. Also, I saw myself just glitch on the camera, so I don't know if that's been happening a lot, but I'm like 25 minutes into recording and I'm not going to stop anytime soon because this is going to be a rough one to redo, but I did just see myself glitch, so I hope I haven't been glitching. If I have been glitching, I apologize. Um but there's certainty in my skill set, in my consistency, in showing up for people. There's consistency in what it is that I can offer people. And this isn't arrogance. This is me betting on myself. This is me being self aware and knowing what it is that I can provide to people and help people become successful in their own way, that they're betting on themselves, that you're betting on yourself to be successful with your business. Because what's certain? What's certain, right? Um, there is a clothing store that I like to visit, um, because I'm a curvy, chubby girl, and they have jeans that fit my curves. And I went to them the other day, um, and it was like their last day in the mall. And I was like, what happened? There was like all the like the racks were gone. There were just a couple of racks left of just like random spurts of clothes. And she said, yeah, they gave me a 2 week notice. They gave me a little bit of severance and they told me I was out of a job and they didn't even give me an option to relocate or anything like that. They're just closing the store down. And I was like, what is happening? Like, I mean, from a selfish perspective, I can still shop online and I'm not worried about it. But like this poor woman. And then she was upset that, what is an 8 week process of shutting down a store, they gave her 2 weeks to do. A couple people had left already because they were trying to scramble to find other jobs because they had families to take care of. And she felt like she was really doing a lot of it herself. And I was just like, oh my God, this is awful. Like, I'm so sorry to hear about this. Like, I hope your next 2 weeks is as smooth as can possibly be for you. And I hope the severance gets you through whatever it is you need to get through to get to your next chapter. And like, what's certain, guys? What is certain? You. You're certain. That's where we're at here. You're the certainty. And I think it's really important to go into your business with certainty and betting on yourself. And I say bet on yourself often enough, but I should say it more. When you go into your business with certainty that you will be successful because you are betting on you, that's all that you need. It's not arrogance, it's truth. Even if you're new to social media, you're not new to your skill set that it is that you're offering people. You're not new to the information that it is that you're trying to provide, right? You may be, for me, I'm new to YouTube, but I'm not new to business. I've had my business for 10 years. And even though I've pivoted and I've grown and I've evolved, I've still had my business for 10 years, like, and have learned a lot. And um, there is certainty in me in that. And I think it's really important to be certain about you and bet on you because what am I trying to say here? Because when you take your stuff seriously and you are certain about yourself, you take it seriously that you know it's a viable business and that you can continue to thrive off of it, not just survive, but thrive off of it. And you start to lose the mentality of that you need some type of backup plan, that you need some type of backup job to get you through, like just in case something happens. There is no backup plan. Forget about the backup plan. You are the plan. And you will pivot and you will adapt and you will be amazing at whatever it is that you need to do. Just keep that in mind about certainty. Just keep that in mind about the real world jobs we have out there. Like, they're not a certainty, right? Because we are not in control of what's going on. And I think for me, I was very happy that my internal reaction was just clarity, not freaking out, not, oh my God, what am I going to do? I was just like, oh, but I have my business. That was my immediate reaction. And I felt really good about that being my immediate reaction. So, yeah, I hope these stories were helpful today about what's going on or what has happened locally in my area. Um like when I was growing up and stuff with Bethlehem Steel, and hopefully Jim Carrey's story is helpful to you. I'm going to try and find the um the link to his commencement speech and put it in the YouTube description. If I don't have it in the YouTube description, I apologize. I probably found like a really horrible version because there were versions on phones and it was from several years ago, so the phones weren't like that great. But it's a Jim Carrey commencement speech. I forget what college, but Yeah, it was really good. I watched it several times. The first time I saw it, I sat and watched it like 3 or 4 times because it just made me go like, I got to bet on me. I got to bet on me. I got to bet on what it is that I want to do and what makes me happy and what I love doing. Um, and that thought process was reinstated last week of I'm so happy that I'm betting on myself right now. I'm so happy that I'm betting on myself right now. I'm so happy to see the growth in my company. I'm so happy that I pivoted. I'm so happy that I'm sharing things that I know will be helpful to somebody out there. Like, I am my certainty. I am my stability. I am my sustainability. So please take from this episode what you will. Um, but there was just some validation last week for me in my growth. There was validation for me as a manager, but there was validation in my growth that I was allowed to be upset with my company for not telling us directly, right? Like that was totally warranted. But I'm very happy that my reaction was what it was for myself and for my business to just go, that's okay. If anything happens, I have my business. Like, and then I just get time to focus on that full time. Like that was the thought process. I wasn't thinking of my business as a backup plan or anything like that. It was just like, no, now if anything happens, I have time to keep going, to keep betting on myself. And that clarity and that calmness just felt so right. It felt so good. And I'm kind of rambling, but you know, it was a rough week. It was a rough week. This microphone is my therapy sometimes. Um, but yeah, I truly hope that this episode was helpful um, in terms of betting on yourself. And I'm going to say it again, and I think I'm going to use it as the title for the video, is that you are your certainty. Your skill set is your certainty. And, it's truly very important to know that. It's important to know that and to own it, right? Like it's not just one of these things like, okay, Tabby, I am my own certainty. No, own it, know it, feel it in your soul that you're betting on yourself. You are the certainty. You are. I wonder if people out there are like, she said the title. Because I think I'm going to use that as the title. It's so good. Look at me. It's like, you guys, sometimes I'm so witty when I'm riffing and I just like get so pleased with myself because I'm just like, oh, that's really good. There are times where like there are cuts, um, mostly because I'm still working through my post-concussive syndrome where sometimes I need to take a break from what it is that I'm talking about. Like I need, just a moment. But um, there are definitely times where like I'll take a break and I'll be like, that was really good. Like, you're so brilliant. People are going to love that. So I do hope this episode was helpful. I do hope these stories were helpful. And please know that the mess hall, $5 to join each session, is this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have it booked for like an hour or an hour and a half or something like that, but we'll go as long as it needs to go. If it ends up being a half hour, it's a half hour. If we go for 2 hours, we go for 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like I will happily sit there and talk business with you guys and I think really the first session is just going to be introductions, but we'll see how it goes because I do have a theme planned. So if everyone's open to it after the introductions, we'll see how long those take and we'll do the theme that I have planned, but I will hopefully see you there. And yeah, Hot Mess Triage has moved to Sundays and Tuesdays. Still like pretty wide open hours to accommodate the fact that I'm working with someone in Asia and working with someone on the West Coast. So hopefully those hours are still good for everybody. And if you want to work with me, I'm leaving Mondays open so I can batch create content since I am back at work full time. Um, but if Monday is a day that works better for you, just message me on Instagram and we'll work through the details and the schedule. But for now, I'm keeping it Sundays and Tuesdays. So anyway, check out my Stan store. for the mess hall, check out my stand store for Hot Mess Triage, which is my business coaching service. And I will try to find that Jim Carrey link and drop it in the description as well, because it was just such a good commencement speech. Um, but yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Please like this video. Please subscribe. Please don't get me in trouble with my job if you know where I work. Um, because I still would like to keep my job. That's why I'm not saying too much. But thank you so much, and I will see you next time.